Hi class, it's nice to see all of y'all. Today we're going to be discussing The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas, and we're going to cover chapters 1 through 6. This is not working. Okay, so today's plan is our standard that's going to be covered today is reading literature 9-10.2. It's determine a theme or central idea of a text and analyze in detail its development over the course of the text, including how it emerges and is shaped and refined by specific details. Provide an objective summary of the text. So, our first learning target for this lesson today is students will be able to know the definition of culture and subculture, elements of Black culture, elements of popular culture, and the definition and examples of cultural appropriation after reading chapters 1 through 6 of The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. And our second learning target is that students will be able to use textual evidence to support their stance on the issues presented in The Hate U Give when participating in an oral and written discussion. So yes, we are going to have an in-class discussion over the chapters. We're going to read a little bit and kind of discuss that as we go through the PowerPoint. And then y'all are also going to have a writing exercise at the end. It's just like a short writing exercise. So our essential questions are: 1, what are the main ideas presented in this text? 2, how is this topic relevant in society today? And 3, what is the author trying to say with this piece? So I have a couple worksheets that we're going to do today. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys those. Just one second, let me pull those up. Okay, so I have a few things for y'all to do. The very first thing, or two things I guess, that y'all are going to be doing when you come into class today, so these are the first two things. We have a bell ringer question. It's just one short question. It says, get this where it'll come over in the screen. Okay, there we go. Our bell ringer is list and describe the main characters in chapters 1 through 6 of The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. So for that, I just kind of want you to list their names and kind of just describe them or what their relationship is, things like that, like what their point in the story is. So then after that, or kind of with that, I'm going to hand those out together. We have a pretest. This is really simple. This is the pretest. Okay, so on this, you're just going to agree, which is A right here, or disagree, which is the D right here, with each of the following statements. Be prepared to discuss each statement. So you're just going to read through these and say if you agree or disagree. And that's your pretest. So, exit out of that. After you turn in your pretest, once you're done with your pretest and your bell ringer, you're going to turn those in together into your tray that's at the front. So we're going to do that, and then after that, we are going to kind of go through the PowerPoint and discuss all of that. And then you're going to have your close reading worksheet. So it's going to come up in a couple different parts. So this is part 1, chapter 1. This is chapter 1 and chapter 2 right here. So on this, I'm not going to have you do it on a separate piece of paper. You can do it on this if you want, but if you need more room, you can do a separate piece. On a separate piece of paper, answer the following questions. Respond to the entire question. There will be no credit for questions with partial answers. 2 to 3 sentence minimum. So you'll probably need another piece of paper, but if you think you can fit it on that one, more power to you. And then all of our worksheets are going to be, I'm going to have these stapled together, obviously. But it's going to go all the way through chapter 6. So I'll show you those. Same directions on this one, obviously. You're just going to go through and do the same thing. This one shows chapter 3. Get out of that. This says chapter 4 and starts chapter 5 a little bit. Same thing there. And then this shows 5 through 6. And then you're going to do another worksheet that is evaluating the 7 elements of culture. So on this one, the first question says rank the 7 elements of culture in order from most important to least important. So you're just going to rank them here and what you think. The second question says, which element do you believe is the most important and why? Use specific reasoning to support your claim. So again, that's opinion. And then the third question says, which element do you believe is the least important and why? Use specific reasoning to support your claim. So you're just ranking them here and then explaining your one that you thought was most important and one that you thought was the least important. And then here's your writing exercise that I mentioned earlier. This is going to be at the end of class. The prompt is The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas an accurate depiction of Black culture in the 21st century? Why not, and have that at least one paragraph. So you're just going to explain whether you think that what is portrayed in the book thus far is accurate with Black culture in our society today. So like in today's time, is it accurate? So those are your assignments today, and then I'm going to pull up the PowerPoint and we'll start going over that. Okay, so to start out, our first topic of discussion is who is Angie Thomas? Angie Thomas is an American young adult author best known for writing The Hate U Give in 2017. Angie was born, raised, and still lives in Jackson, Mississippi. She's a former teen rapper and holds a BFA in creative writing from Belhaven University. Her award-winning acclaimed debut novel, The Hate U Give, is a #1 New York Times bestseller and major motion picture from Fox 2000, starring Amandla Stenberg and directed by George Tillman Jr. So she's a very successful author. She's been big in discussing the Black Lives Matter movement and equality for people of color, all of that. She's big in all of that. She's a huge activist. And she also has a couple of other books. I know the book that she put out after The Hate U Give is on the come up, and that one is kind of along the same lines as well. Where did the name The Hate U Give come from? This is one of my favorite things that I discovered whenever I read this book, watched this movie, and researched all of this. The title The Hate U Give comes from what rapper Tupac Shakur says about thug life. Angie was watching an interview of Tupac's, and he said this: "The hate you give little infants F's everybody. THUGLIFE, meaning what society gives us as youth, it bites them in the tail when we wild out. Get it?" And Thomas said that when she heard him explain it, what it means, it hit her that it's not just in her book, but that's what we see in society every day. When these unarmed Black people lose their lives, the hate they've been given screws us all. We see it in the form of anger, and we see it in the form of riots. So I thought that was really interesting, actually. I liked that. It kind of ties into a modern culture thing. So starting in chapter 1, Star Carter, which is pretty much our main character, like our main character. Star Carter attends Big D's party in Garden Heights. Garden Heights is Star's neighborhood. She's lived there her whole life. She was born there. She's lived there her whole life. It's kind of a more rundown area. It's what people would consider the ghetto, is how she describes it. Kenya, her childhood friend, drags her there, but Star doesn't feel like she belongs there. Star and Kenya argue because Kenya wants Star to help her jump a girl she doesn't like, and Star tells her no. Kenya says Star thinks she's all that because she goes to school at Williamson. Williamson is a private school that Star and her brothers have transferred to 6 years prior. And it's a predominantly white school, very wealthy children attend it, all of that. So Kenya calls Star out about her clothes as well, saying that she's wearing a hoodie from Kenya's brother, Seven. Star clarifies that Seven is her brother too. Kenya's mom is Seven's mom, and Star's dad is Seven's dad. So at this point, Kenya leaves Star alone and tells her to take care of herself. And Star is just standing around by herself because she's she lost touch with most of her friends from Garden Heights when she transferred to Williamson 6 years earlier. So she doesn't really talk to any of them anymore. She talks to Kenya because she's around Kenya because of Seven's sister and stuff like that. But she doesn't really talk to many people anymore from Garden Heights. Star says that being one of the only black kids at Williamson automatically makes her cool. In Garden Heights, on the other hand, she is invisible. Star then sees Khalil, her childhood best friend who, until recently, worked at the Carter family store. So, Star's dad, Maverick, he owns the town store, so it's like a convenience store, and he owns and runs that. Star notices how handsome Khalil is, momentarily forgetting that she already has a boyfriend, Chris. She also notes that Khalil is wearing expensive sneakers and jewelry. He says he's been keeping busy, which Star understands to mean he has been selling drugs for King, the biggest drug lord in Garden Heights, and he's also Kenya's father. King is Kenya's father. Khalil tells Star that his grandma is going through chemotherapy and that his mother, Brenda, is still struggling to get clean. So, suddenly shots ring out at the party. Khalil grabs Star's hand and the two run to his car. Star texts Kenya, who says she is fine and on her way to handle Denasia, which Star thinks is crazy after just being close to gunshots. As she gets in, Star notices that Khalil's car has a customized green interior. Khalil's immediate move to protect Star shows how deeply he cares for her. The fact that Kenya seems unfazed by the gunshots also suggests that this violence is simply another part of life in Garden Heights. The color green is associated with the Garden Disciples gang, a fact that later confuses Star when Khalil is said to have been in the rival King Lords. Star calls Khalil out for selling drugs. He defends himself by saying his grandmother lost her job at the hospital, ironically due to being too sick to work. He was trying to support his family and got tired of choosing between lights and food. Seven texts Star worried about where she is. Star and Khalil laugh about Seven's overprotectiveness and reminisce about another old friend, Natasha, noting that the three of them used to call themselves tighter than the inside of Voldemort's nose. Khalil says how strange it feels that it has been 6 years. Just then, police sirens flash in the rear window. So this is kind of where the book takes a turn, and we're really going to get into that. And I have to end this video, but I'm going to pick right up on this as soon as I start my next one.